We're going to look at 3 different replays at 3 different Immortals of people playing Pudge. This first one is Herald 7, then we'll be looking at an Ancient player, and finally an Immortal. And this is a really popular hero, you see it at all brackets, and there's a distinct difference between each bracket. And straight away you end up seeing that Shadow Shaman has placed down an Observer Ward on the cliff, and Pudge is here, and he has Hook at level 1. This is a really good hero to play aggressive on level 1, even to go across the river and see like where they have vision, where they're going to place wards. But instead, Pudge does manage to pick up the rune here, but does die for first blood. These Herald players, this Herald Riki, he knows that first blood is more important than getting the rune. So we're looking here now, and Pudge uses another hook, and he wastes his mana. Even though he gets some mana regen from the fountain after he uses a spell, he ends up being pretty low here on health. And where he put that sentry down is not really going to help unless Riki goes playing aggressively. Now typically you want it up a little bit further, and he does try out another hook here. And the disadvantage of using your hook like this is that in this scenario, it's now on cooldown and you don't have mana. So what Pudge is doing now isn't really going to help. These few seconds he's wasting them. He's standing in front here. He doesn't use his tango yet. And Shadow Shaman is just right clicking this guy down, Necro, and Pudge is trying to like stop him. And now Shadow Shaman is like going back. Necro went in basically fed there. But Pudge switches between targets. He's still not using his tango. And if he had a hook there, he would have been able to catch Shadow Shaman there and get the kill. Instead, it's a double kill for Dire side. Now Pudge has come back to the lane, and both these heroes are farming in this lane at the same time. Shadow Shaman shows himself. Pudge dives the tower on his own, rots and gets a kill. He eats a tree and gets his way out. This is a really nice play. He only took 1 tower hit during that time. So very impressive to not take the tower aggro there. And now Pudge is just like farming with Necro. Both of them are farming at the same time. And now Shadow Shaman gets like hooked by standing still. Pudge has his rot on. And here he turns off rot when he goes onto low health. Typically that's not what you want to do. You want to try and get that deny. And you probably want to keep facing Riki as well so he doesn't get that backstab damage. He also didn't use his fairy fire. But now he's bought a soul ring. And unfortunately he doesn't have a teleport, and what ends up happening is he has to walk back all to the lane, and he does have a TP cooldown as well, but he's fast as fuck, boy. He does have good awareness here of like getting the runes. He goes after Shaman, and he can't chase after Shaman because Shaman has boots of speed and Pudge doesn't. And here Pudge goes for this rune. He plays down a sentry that he got from the courier and puts a second one, catches the Riki. So Shaman is standing under the tower here, and Riki is like missing or whatever, and Pudge is going for a hook. He still doesn't use his soul ring. Come on. He is buying sentries for the lane, like, though you gotta give him credit for that. Now Pudge is going mid for Husker, and Skyrat is mid too, but Skyrat doesn't have his ulti or mana to do this. And this is not a really good engagement. I think Husker can kill both of you if he's a somewhat decent player. Let's have a look at Husker's items. Pudge doesn't check items, unfortunately. Husker only has like an urn. And oh, we get the hook here. Oh, the dismember. And now Skyrat has ulti. So that worked out really well. And luckily in Herald, supports don't rotate when people dive towers like that. Okay, there's a fight breaking out down here now. And he throws a hook here. He used his soul ring for the first time to dismember Tidehunter. Not the target you want to dismember, because once Tidehunter's passive comes, he can dispel Pudge's ult. Like, what's his camera angle at all? So now he teleports mid but cancels it. Okay, and he doesn't buy like extra teleports either, so he just waits till he goes back to the fountain to have a teleport. Is he going to throw a hook here? There's 4 heroes running mid. Hook someone, come on boy. Yes, you got the Shaman who walked into the hook and got hexed immediately. Now Riki's turning around. Now Pudge is tanking everything. Oh yes, we got him caught out of position. Pudge actually baiting them so hard here. And Husker dies. Triple kill for the Radiant team. And all because Pudge was just standing in front. It might seem stupid, but what Pudge did was actually really good, because they focused the idiot that stands in front with lots of health. Pudge could kind of be messed up, and his position right now is really bad. If the enemy goes on him in a bad position, he could get caught from different angles. He is going for a sneaky hook spot though. But he has no vision there. Like, the creeps are going to push. And fighting at the enemy shrine is not a good idea. So something you might notice about Pudge is his network is really bad. And you might notice why here. Because watch how he farms. Watch this amazing farm pattern. He goes and hits the ancients here. And he is rotting and he doesn't know whether to turn it on or off here. And now he's low health. What's his deal? What's he gonna do? Emergency TP out. Back to the fountain. And now he sits here. It's 26 minutes, right? He's here. Is he gonna move out of the fountain yet? How long does he stay here? Okay, he's still in the fountain. He's not like AFK. Now he's still in the fountain. 40 seconds later, he leaves. Oh my god. What are these Herald players doing? This is next level farming patterns. Cheer has not very good camera angle. Ricky is diving right now. And he sees him now because of the sentry. He doesn't click his dust. He presses it now. Good thing Rubik had stolen Nyx's stun to get the ground stun onto him. Now instead of he's going for Shadow Shaman. Good idea. Very quick reactions there to go for Shaman instead. Throw the hook. Cancels the TP. Very good plays here. And here we have Pudge dismembers onto Nyx, catches him and picks him off straight away. So instantly it's a 5v4. Now Pudge stands back. He could use his Spirit Vessel onto Husker here. Husker doesn't have a BKB yet. And Husker is getting a lot of healing here. And use your Spirit Vessel onto Husker would be pretty nice. But Husker dies anyways. Husker's not a great player as you'll end up seeing this game. And Pudge's camera angle is going all over the place. All of them. So instead, they wait for Tidehunter, solo Ravage, pick him off too. And Pudge being a team player, you see in comparison to this Tidehunter, being a team player makes a big difference. Pudge walks into Roche, and I guess he's communicating to his team to go Roche, but the lineup is not that great for killing Roche here. And Ricky was here as well. Nyx comes in, and they have detection here, and does manage to be a somewhat okay bait and take a fight to pretty much kill him. But now Pudge is super tunnel visioned onto Roche. No one else is helping him. You can't kill this guy on your own. So instead of trying to save his teammate, he misses the hook onto his teammate. And these are just kind of small things, but the hook wasn't gonna make or break the game. But deciding to go Roche there was a pretty bad decision. But at the same time, tunnel visioning is not good either, regardless of what the tunnel visioning is. And now he's going back into Roche, is he? He's still standing at Roche. He goes back in again. He's telling his team, we gotta go Roche. Pudge says, no, no Roche, no Roche. He pinged no. What's he doing now? Come on, Pudge. Are you still tunnel visioning onto Roche? He literally spent so long here just thinking about Roche. He's tunnel visioned so hard. He's walking around in circles. There we go. We got a kill onto Husker. 130 seconds. See you next year, Husker. And while Husker is dead, it'll be important to punish the enemy. But now Pudge has decided it's a good time to start farming at 43 minutes into the game rather than go and push with his team. And Pudge is not keeping up with the detection here. Rubik pretty much has to do everything. Now they are taking racks here while Rubik is getting focused in the back. Misses a hook here. Now Necro's on his own. And they're really getting kited here by this Ricky. And Pudge does manage to get Dismember off with the Spirit Vessel onto Ricky. And Shadow Shaman gets caught too. Pretty much one by one they're getting caught and kind of making the plays around here. He's now decided to buy Bracer? What? He still has this Orb of Venom as well. What's he doing with this? He does manage to find a nice pick off here. And that's a very valuable kill. That's 95 seconds with no Shadow Shaman. So this game, Pudge really needs to focus on his farming when he needs to be farming creeps. His items are a bit wonky as well. But overall, his hooks were kind of okay in his plays later. Big team player and not solo playing. So now we're looking at an Ancient 4 Pudge. And this time he's went a lot of regen in lane and also went Flesh Heap stack. And this idea is just to stand in lane and keep out regenning the enemy. Yet at the laning stage he gets cut out of position here and gets focused down and killed by 3 heroes. Now these 9 tangos are kind of like the vegan diet. You just eat lots of trees and do nothing else. He walks back to the lane and then decides to TP, so he loses a little bit of mana here. But it's not going to make much of a difference because of the fact that he doesn't have Hook skilled, and that's his only spell that uses mana in the laning stage. And Now he's just getting zoned out of lane. Is he going to die a second time? Almost. Oh, he just got killed at the end. So it's almost 3 minutes in now, and Pudge still has no progression on items. Rubik also died once in lane as well. And coming up here, he's going down maybe to the shop to buy boots or a quelling blade. And Venge catches him here. And he goes get caught here, and they have a lot of damage to kill him here, and Juggernaut's level 3, and they've pretty much lost the lane so far. He buys a quelling blade back in his own shop, back at his home shop, but this is a pretty disastrous start, and really in a tri lane against this, what you want to try and achieve is just not to die. Also bought this quelling blade, and as you'll see, he's not really hitting creeps of any sort. He hooks a creep and denies it. Oh my god. How is this guy? Like, all of these players are legend in this match except Pudge. He's like a rank, like 4 ranks higher than everyone else. And now the supports have done the right thing, which is to leave Juggernaut alone, and they go and put pressure somewhere else. This is the total opposite of what you want to happen if you're playing offlane. You want to keep the supports in your lane. And he has 8 tangos, and he still hasn't utilized them yet. He's using quelling blade, just cutting down random trees. What is this? Like herald players. He's going for the pull now. He decides to do this, and Rubik should have tried to be doing this at some point, but he never really did. And what ends up happening here is Jug comes, and now Jug gets the centaur creep as well as the full creep wave normally as well. And it didn't really do that much. It made the creeps a little bit closer here. Pudge aggroes the creeps, pretty straightforward, but Juggernaut's still denying him. And he is playing much safer here, and the boots of speed is something that will help him like not die, but unfortunately Juggernaut has phase boots at this point and can just dive him. So this is really, the whole lane has gone total out of control at this point. Now Pudge even there didn't TP back to his lane. If he TP'd, he might have been able to even get a hook there, but he never bothered. Instead, Windranger has to go and clean up instead. And actually all 3 of those heroes that dived there ended up dying. So that was overall a pretty good trade for Pudge's team. But as you see with his camera angle, he didn't even realize any of that happened. So for the past few minutes, Pudge has really just been jungling stacks that were intended for Gyro in the main part of the jungle, and he hasn't really contributed anything. Now the enemy is pushing down all the towers, and he goes for his first hook here and catches Mirana at 16 minutes. Kind of late to be doing this, but he denies himself here, which is pretty nice, and the enemy dives here. And this is something that you see happen quite commonly in Ancient and Legend, is people diving for towers rather than going for the objectives, overcommitting. Now Pudge is here running into 3 heroes, and he can see both of them. He has an observer. It's actually 4 heroes. Now he's ended up getting focused here, and he's not that tanky. He used his phase boots already. He has 20 stick charges. He could have used the stick charges and survived there, but he never did. That's something that's seemingly pretty small, but that's 300 gold for literally nothing. Ends up catching Silencer behind the Roche pit, and they knew that they went into Roche here. Good prediction to go for a smoke here. Windranger gives vision with this power shot, and Pudge goes for the hook. Now he ends up hooking Death Prophet, and a global silence comes out. This ends up really throwing off their whole team. They committed super far ahead, and their whole team is now being caught, and now Gyro's in front, and this is just kind of pretty much an outplay by the enemy team. A really good global silence caught them all out here as well, but as well committing for the Roche pit was, they kind of needed to do it because they're not in that great of a position. They can't let the enemy get a free Aegis for nothing, because it could just pretty much mean the game. But here Pudge is back alive, and Gyro had to buy back. Now Gyro used his ult. This is a much better initiation, yet Pudge misses the hook on a target that was the only one that decided to walk away. Now here he walks out of arrow. He throws a spirit vessel down onto Death Prophet, and finally for the first time he gets almost a full duration dismember without getting cancelled back into Roshan and finishing Roshan off and get it for themselves. Around this point is when you want to use your spirit vessel, get back up on health regen, because 25 health regen per second is probably not enough if you're going to fight soon again. And this is a disconnect about what their team is doing. Pink Windranger has gone back to go jungling. Pudge goes back thinking about jungling again, and Gyro goes pushing a tower. Typically you want to be together with your team. Now Pudge does have a quick reaction to react to his team taking an engagement, and actually ends up saving his Gyro here. And this is where you want to put maybe a spirit vessel charge onto Gyro. Rubik swaps Pudge. Pudge tanks and Juggernaut throws out an Omni Slash. So now Radiant is going for another push here. Pudge throws out Hook, just misses, and his team he could have like pretty much got focused down there and killed a swap by Vengeful Spirit, really anything. And now Gyro is kind of running in randomly. There's a Mirana ult. Pudge does not buy Dust on his hero. This Quelling Blade is too important for Dust apparently. And here going for Hood as well is kind of questionable. It's not that great here. The Wind Ranger doesn't understand that Dead Prophet's ult is actually physical damage now. And she thought it was magical, which changed a long time ago. You do want Pudge being in front. He does get hit by an arrow here. And the Hex comes out from Rubik. Now CM comes and does a Frostbite. And Pudge throws out a Hook. And this is a really nice combination to kill a hero. If they'd been doing this earlier in the game, they could have got a lot of pick-offs. But it's good that they coordinated once. And here now Pudge ends up pretty much getting the kill here on Death Prophet. But now Juggernaut is pushing mid. He buys a Ghost Scepter and flies it out to him. Now Pudge doesn't really move his camera to realize what's happening. He's just looking at the minimap to figure out what's going on, which is not necessarily the most optimal way of playing Dota, because the minimap is obviously gives less information than what the camera gives. So after killing Death Prophet there, they just run back into Roshan. Pudge used his ult on Rosh, so the enemy should even know what's going on at this point. But let's see what they're actually doing. Juggernaut's nowhere near there. Silencer's here. And they can't even contest it. Death Prophet is buyback. And typically better players, you might not want to ult Rosh as Pudge because it's a global sound effect. So the enemy are after using Mirana ult. It's on cooldown. And they're just standing passively here on the high ground with sentries around them. Now, Pudge is standing here near the trees looking for a hook. The creep wave comes in. He saw Death Prophet's animation here and hooks her. Wow, amazing. Now, Pudge doesn't get the dismember, but a global silence comes out and Omni Slash comes through. He even presses the Ghost Scepter a little bit early there when Omni Slash coming in. He tanks Juggernaut ult. Pretty much, Death Prophet's nearly dead now. And Juggernaut's wasted his ult and Silencer's wasted his ult. This is pretty much amazing start to a team fight that you want to have. And at this point you'd expect, oh, we're not going to get any more kills here. But Juggernaut ends up getting caught here. Vengeful Spirit goes for the swap. Pudge did get the Spirit Vessel out onto Jugger, which ends up causing him to die soon after. And now Venge is dead. And this is pretty much all Pudge winning this fight for them. And they have 4 heroes dead, and I think Mirana gets picked off as well. So this is a full team wipe and comes up and they just get to take this for free again. This is kind of weird, like better players would have punished them for their passiveness. It's pretty much like 10 minutes and they haven't found a fight. 3 heroes with the ability to go invisible, and he still doesn't buy Dust. Kind of questionable, or even a gem. You see how hard it is for the enemy to kill him here. And the enemy's constantly getting away from him. They're constantly kiting this Pudge because of it. He doesn't use his Spirit Vessel on Gyro here. And Gyro currently, I think, has a Rapier as well. Yes, he has Rapier. So it's really important that this guy doesn't die. So maybe use your Spirit Vessel on him. Maybe give him the cheese. Pudge, like, eats the cheese himself for some mana. Like, not a very good usage of it. You could even sell it in the shop. Would be a better usage in that scenario, I think. Now he bought E-Blade as well. He throws out a hook, misses the hook, typical stuff. This is a Rubik silence, by the way. Global silence. He uses Spirit Vessel on Juggernaut. E-Blade's a creep. Very big here. Still kills Juggernaut regardless. Still no one like disabled Pudge. And he's just running in here. Like Death Prophet can't really kill him that easily either. And does he use Pipe here for his allies? No. Now Gyro's going back in. He gets swapped by Venge, and Pudge isn't there to save him. Instead he goes to E-Blade like the Silencer, who goes invis, and he's getting kited here. Now Gyro dropped the Rapier and Pudge picks it up. Pudge ain't going to commit. Pudge is going to win this game, and he teleports back to the fountain, saves the Rapier. So they got mega creeps, pretty much getting picked off one by one. And Pudge, like, really his biggest play here was just like saving the Rapier. And really what this guy needs to work on is his positioning, especially in the laning stage. And the laning stage was easily the weakest part. He doesn't really apply a huge amount of pressure early on either. He spent a lot of time jungling, which is not necessarily the most optimal thing to do. So now we're looking at an Immortal rank 346 Pudge. And this time he's not playing AFK, and it's 43 seconds before the bounty runes spawn. And he hooks Mirana under the tower here. He could have even blocked her into the trees, but she walks around. She probably has tangos as well. And PL is getting focused down here. Now PL jukes through the trees following Mirana, gets vision of Mirana, and now the tower hits her and she ends up dying. And PL pretty good juking there, and he had to use his one tango to get through that place too. He doesn't have a quelling blade yet. And Pudge throws out another hook here onto Earthshaker, and that second hook might not seem like much, and they did not get the runes, but Earthshaker walks back to the fountain solely just because of that second hook that came through. And you end up seeing Shadow Demon is going warding to block this small camp, and he's also putting a sentry on mid lane. But if we look at now what's happening in the lane, that Pudge is sitting here solo against Mirana, and PL gets the full first creep wave to himself. Now he does kind of get caught here now, Pudge, with a Fisher plus arrow, and he doesn't have rots because he's only level 1. So Pudge comes back to the lane after that death, and Invokers come too. They're the two supports. Pudge is position 5, and probably not the most preferable way to play Pudge, but you end up seeing that it actually ends up working out, because what he ends up doing is trading lots of regen. He throws some hooks, he hits the hooks, even though they're not getting kills or coordinating to get the kills to burst someone down, it is causing them to constantly stay low on health. And you'll end up seeing that none of them have a salve. The salve allows you to heal up very quickly. Instead, the tangos, you have to constantly keep using them if you're getting regen back. And Earthshaker can't go play aggressive here. He can't last it because he's low health. You end up seeing Mirana has no regen either, and Shadow Demon has tangos, but he isn't really applying much pressure in other lanes because Pudge is pretty much keeping him bottom here as well. And they're trying to go for kills and play this aggro trial lane, and Mirana is even down here. So Pudge, position 5, is not getting punished here. And after a really great start, he has boots already. So now Mirana's after coming back to the lane, and Pudge is trying to punish her again, but he ends up going out of position, getting trapped here. Pretty bad position, especially with the fact that Earthshaker has his Fisher ready all of this time, and really stupid for Pudge to go up this far, and he pretty much knows his mistake already, and he tried to commit to run the other way so his teammates don't die, but Invoker ends up dying too, trying to save him. And the enemy are just gonna die here. Earthshaker's dead, Shadow Demon's gonna die, and the mid player's after rotating as well. Mirana has to use another leap again, and is she gonna have to leap again? She's 2 leap charges. She really doesn't want to have to use them, and their lane is really shut down at this point. And the harass that you saw early on before minute 5, this ends up, like, especially in the 2 to 3 minute period, it works out really well because the enemy don't have a shrine to regen back up. But this interaction here, the enemy could just go back and use the shrine and do whatever. But Pudge is smart, right? He's gonna go and see if he can catch someone with the shrine, but he's thinking, like, if he had a ward here he could place it, but he's trying to wrap around to try and kill Earthshaker. He catches him here, he actually dives the tower here, even with the creeps blocking him, with Invoker Cold Snap as well, and Earthshaker ends up getting the kill after he was dead, so the tower killed Pudge. So for Pudge, that's a really good interaction because he gets a flesh heap stack as well. Coming up to 8 minutes, and Pudge goes for the rune on bottom, the power rune. And Mirana is also here, and Pudge is on time for this. Now Mirana didn't get any rune because it spawned on top, and she just has to take harass there for little to no reason. And there's no shrine there either. They have a ward, so they, like, that radiant side can see that the enemy don't have a shrine. Now Mirana is taking another hook. She has to leap away. Now she doesn't end up dying, but she has to back off from this fight. You see Shadow Demon's also low regen, so this is really good trade of, like, regen for Pudge, because he has 1 point in flesh heap stack and 10 stick charges. So the stick is something that we saw the ancient player didn't really take advantage of, and it's something that you see quite common. And now at this point Pudge has realized that the Earthshaker was going to die, and he decides to go for Shadow Demon to see if he can pick up a second kill for his team rather than just going for the extra flesh heap stack. So Invoker is getting dived here, and Pudge tries to save him, but a little bit too late and hits it hook onto Void instead and ends up dying as well. So kind of similar, like dying for your other supports and mistakes, and that's not a huge deal to really be talking about because Pudge is only level 6, his death timer is not very long, and they don't really gain a huge amount of gold because it's only 180 gold that they get for killing Pudge. What does make an effect though is the fact that his teleport is now on cooldown, and he can't teleport bottom. So now he hooks Mirana, which is pretty nice here, and they start focusing him, and this gives enough time for his allies to come in and counter initiate on top of it. So very good awareness of what's going on there and going to the lane that really needs the help the most. So now it's coming up to the 20-minute rune, and Pudge goes for a smoke play. They're either going to play defensive here and wait for someone to come for the rune and catch them, or go play aggressive onto the rune. There's smoke breaks now, and what happens is Invoker gets arrowed, and then Shadow Demon saves him by using disruption. At the moment, the whole enemy team are invisible around Invoker, and Pudge dismembers Faceless Void, and there's no disruption to stop Pudge's ult here. So a pretty big misplay by Shadow Demon in that fight, but either way they end up losing this fight to a certain extent. Faceless Void comes back in and Ember does a sleight of fist, and a Maelstrom procs Faceless Void and gets out. But there's not much Pudge could have done differently there, but it's good that he was at least trying to play aggressive and play at a fast pace there with the smoke. And there's no chrono, and they pretty much picked off all the enemy team one by one. It wasn't really anything too spectacular, to be honest. But now they end up backing, but they actually do a fake back here. Oh no, they don't. And Pudge goes for a hook, just hits Shadow Demon. You end up seeing that this Pudge is just really outplaying the enemy supports, and regardless of whether his hero is weak or strong, or ideally as a support, he's just playing better than them. And with this XP talent, it really accelerates his game, and he's going to end up having like levels faster. And to keep controlling this part of the map, they fake back that they're going to go back to the jungle and start farming. They smoke here waiting for someone, and I think the enemy might be aware of this. But anyway, Pudge puts an observer ward on the cliff. PL doppelgangers into it, which is kind of unfortunate. Could have caught Earthshaker again, and he is really the target that you want to be going for at the start of the fights, so that they can't counter initiate anything. And now he's caught the Earthshaker this time, and he's always focusing Shaker. And you end up seeing that this Earthshaker is so miserable. His teammates are probably flaming him at this point, but you end up seeing that Brood comes to take his creeps, and he ends up echo slamming them. So once you've got people to they're overwhelmed by their emotions at this point, so like Pudge is pretty much like causing that. You'd be pretty angry too if you were losing to a Pudge Invoker support combo. Not only is he doing better teamwork than what the enemy team is doing, but he's also playing at a much faster pace. The enemy team have a big disconnect between what their heroes are doing, and it seems pretty much like that they've given up, and their emotions have really overcome them for any ability to think about trying to win this game. So hopefully this video shows you the difference between Pudge players at different ranks. And if you got this far in the video, consider subscribing, maybe even turn on notifications as well. But for people who are already subscribed, you might notice that I haven't uploaded in the past couple of weeks, and it's because my hard drive died and I had to replace it, and it takes like forever to install everything.